Welcome to Bluff
Creek Podcast Radio. I am Naama.
And I'm Timmy.
And today's special guest is
Congressman Erik Paulsen.
Thank you for joining us today.
So, how often do you get to travel to the White House?
Well, with my job, I work in the United States Capitol, so sometimes I do get invited to the White House, maybe to meet with the president, but it's probably only 2 or 3 times a year at the most. Maybe I'm only at the White House for the White House Christmas party or something like that. So it's not like I spend a lot of time at the White House. I spend most of my time in the United States Capitol building.
How many days of work do you have?
How many days of work do I have? Boy, it seems like it's work every day, right? And so I could easily meet with people every day of the week, Saturday all the way through the Sunday all the way through the following Saturday. But I do try to block off time to be with my family. But when I'm in Minnesota and I'm not in Washington, I visit schools, I visit companies and businesses. I like to listen to people to get good ideas for laws that we should pass for our country.
Okay, so how long is your average work day?
So my average work day, boy, I start about 7:30 in the morning, and I might have a breakfast meeting, but then I'll start meeting with a lot of different Minnesotans that come to Washington to visit, and sometimes they are students, sometimes they're teachers or superintendents or doctors or nurses or business people and engineers, and they usually say, please, Mr. Paulsen, vote for this bill, or don't vote for this bill, or we'd like your help with this issue. I'll have a committee meeting in the day where we vote on some bills, and then later in the afternoon we'll vote on the House floor with all of the representatives, and then I usually finish up with a dinner meeting, and I get home about 9:30 or 10.
Do you have to travel a lot to do your work?
Well, I have to travel every week to Washington, and so I leave on Mondays usually at 1 o'clock on an airplane, and I fly out to Washington on Delta, and then on Thursday night I come home. But I also get a chance to visit some other states. For instance, I'm going to be going to Texas sometime soon to meet with some folks that are working in the high-tech industry, the folks that are interested in making computers and iPhones and things like that, to talk about with them about some issues. And then I even get to travel to some other countries because the United States plays a role in making sure our world is safe and what's important to making sure that the United States is working with other countries. So I get to travel maybe to Africa, for instance.
Okay. Did you always want to be in Congress?
No, I never thought I would be in Congress, actually. When I was in 5th grade, I never thought about it, for instance. I was a math major, so I went to Chanhassen Elementary School, I went to Chaska High School, I went to St. Olaf College, I majored in math. But after I worked for a few years, using my numbers skills, I thought, I want to do something a little bit more that's helping people, that's a little bit more rewarding, and so then I started over and started working in government and eventually got elected.
What is it like to be in Congress?
What's it like to be in Congress? Well, one thing you learn in Congress is it's a real privilege, of course, to be elected by others, right, to represent them. And there are some great things you can do to help move the country forward. It's also very frustrating because things move really slow. And sometimes I might think I've got the greatest idea in the world, but it takes time to get people from California or Louisiana, for instance, to maybe agree that it's a good idea, right? Even though they might say, oh, you do that in Minnesota, big deal. That's not important to me. So it takes a while to do things. So that's one of the challenges that we have.
Okay, did you like making the ads for your campaign to go to Congress?
Well, of course, when you run for Congress or elected office, that was one of the things we had to spend some time on was campaign ads. And I think my daughters had fun doing the ads because they got to make fun of me a little bit, making fun of my math a little bit. But that was something that I did with the campaign ads, which is kind of fun, yeah. But it takes time.
Okay.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Today's podcast is brought to you by Bluff Creek Podcast Radio, encouraging you to connect with someone new today.